you want to introduce this next one for us?
I do. It's Group H, and as I've been hyping, it's a pat narrative. It's an obvious narrative, but there's a reason for that. Both these competitors are from Lithuania, as well as our host wrestler, I believe. So total and demonstrating total Lithuanian solidarity in the Summer Cup in 2020. They both skipped this event, even though they both played it quite a bit historically. With this entry, for example, Pofke has participated in 4 of the last 5. The closest he's come to winning in any of them is the 2018 semifinals against Dowsey, which I believe you probably remember. Turnip Boy knocked him out in the quarterfinals in 2019 in a match I included in my greatest Spy Party matches of all time essay. And though he lost in the second round in 2021, it was to eventual Cup champion Legorov Janine, who took on all comers and then some last year. So a very strong defending champion, no shame in losing there, but he hasn't quite gotten to the finals in any of these. He did win a Winter Cup, though, however. Catnip, on the other hand, has made it as far as a knockout bracket in 18 and 19.
I'm recognizing so many of these names from the old days, but some names coming up as well, new names that I've not come across before. But my biggest takeaway from that is that you've written a Spy Party essay.
Yeah, no, I put together a list of the greatest matches, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And for my money, Turnip Boy and Pofke in those 2019 quarterfinals is kind of an underappreciated one. Went into triple overtime, I think it was, and lead changes back and forth. It was really something. I highly recommend it. And there is a cast there. I pretty sure I casted it. just playing the odds there. Just playing the odds. Catnip, by the way, as I mentioned, made the knockout bracket in 18 and 19. She has skipped the last 2 Summer Cups, so this is her return after 3 years. Maybe specifically because Pofke is in it again. I don't know, but either way. Oh, sorry. Please go ahead.
So both of these names are players that I've known for or been aware of for some time. I remember Pofke being a major player back in, I think, the last tournament that I organised with the 19-1, 18-1. I can't remember. I think I've been out for 2 years now, so I think 20 and 21 I sat out. But yeah, I remember Pofke being a big name, but Catnip I've known for a long time, way back into the old guard of Spy Party, in the closed beta before the new art was even here. I've played against Catnip myself several times. I know she's a strong player, but likewise, Pofke's record, certainly in Summer Cup tournaments, goes before them. So looking forward to seeing this one. Is there any sort of geographical grudge match going on here, or is it just a nice, happy coincidence that they're both from Lithuania?
I mean, you have to wonder, right? Is there more affinity or less? Because I know that at least in America, for example, regional rivalries are always the fiercest. The more similar you are to the neighboring state, the more you hate them and their local sports teams. So I don't know if it's the same thing with Lithuania or not. I hope not, because it's a very silly, if amusing, tradition over here in American sports. And I don't know if it transfers to Lithuanian esports with the same fervor. I had the privilege of playing Catnip in Group L in the 2019 Summer Cup, for example. Lovely opponent. And obviously these two have played each other many times. They keep getting paired together. It is a random draw, and yet here they are together again. Can't seem to escape each other's orbit. But yes, Pofke's competitive experience, very high, a lot of success. Sniper is always good when I look at the numbers. The difference is his Spy okay, or is it also good? If he wins about half his Spy games, he goes very far. If he wins more like 28 to 30%, which is a little closer to his historical average, he's in the hunt, but usually doesn't get as far. So that is usually the big distinction. Sniper's going to be on. The question is the Spy going to rise to meet it? And that's what we're going to see first. Pofke's Spy on Ballroom playing his buns in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Just noticing Catnip saying in the chat, Pofke is the reason why I'm not the best Spy Party Lithuania player anymore. I can't even claim I'm the best in my city. It's very sweet.
Very cute.
I think that's the reference because I'm in the same city as Catnip. So
there we go.
Though Pofke having a little bit of trouble with this pad at the beginning here, actually getting a bit stuck outside. I don't think Catnip's caught it here, but Pofke just having a little bit of trouble getting onto that pad to flirt with Smallman here. It has the seduction cooldown now changed, because I'm not noticing a seduction countdown. If so, perhaps you could explain that to me.
Yes, it is certainly it's timer based, but based on how far away you are physically, it cools down much faster as you get farther away, which has not always been the case. There used to be flirt resets. As soon as you leave a pad and come back on, it starts over again.
That's how I remember it being. The further you are away, the more it cools down. But I didn't notice anything. Or did it cool down really fast here, and I just completely missed that?
It cooled down really fast because they walked away, and I think the seduction target goes the other direction too, and it cools down even faster.
Nice. Well, we get that green flirt early on and up to 51%, which is going to be a nice start. I mean, not much going on apart from that. I mean, we are coming up to 2 minutes. We are going to need to start thinking about making some work soon, doing some work soon. Going to cross the ballroom over into conversation with a potential double agent. And we do get the real banana bread coming off right there. It's a white test. We do fail that fingerprinting, unfortunately. So we are still 1.5 in, 2.5 to go as we approach the 2-minute mark. Looking to finish off the seduction here, standing next to Small Man, looking for a green test. Are we going to get it? We are indeed, and we complete that seduction. We are now 2 missions down, halfway to finishing.
The wrong bug. The bug at Windows right afterwards, and just from that, we've gone from 1.5 missions to 3 in a matter of about 20 seconds. And now, 1 mission away. Is it going to be Inspecs? If we're worried about being suspected for that bug, that's a little bit of a scary thing to do, particularly against Catnip. And we are going to center statue. This might be early enough to get away with. Historically speaking, Catnip has taken a lot of what I would call timing shots. This looks like the time a spy would finish. This looks like the kind of thing they would do. You'll get away with a hardtail, but you get shot for a flirt or a late inspect. But this is not a particularly late inspect, which makes me think it's probably going to work.
We don't catch the Catnip not catching the gulp by the looks of it. We do get the inspect done. The laser is hovering. It's floating. We're high lit. Are we going to get away with it? We're going to stand next to the... No, we're not going to go next to the ambassador. I think we're going to get away with it, and we do. And Pofke taking that first one. Bit of a slow start, but a very, very fast turnaround conversion in the middle. Pofke going 1-0 up. Strong performance from the start there.
Yeah, and you look at this timeline here, target seduced 147.9, bug 143.6. That is the 5 seconds, basically, where the game completely turned, where a decent little lead for Pofke turned into a potentially dominating one. And I think if those inspects happen 30 or 40 seconds later, if the pacing is a little worse, that's the kind of shot Catnip has taken, both to her success and her detriment in equal measure. So very good, maybe intentional from Pofke, maybe knows his opponent, or maybe just wanted to get missions done. Pofke can be a good aggressive spy. And in that case, I think finishing inspects earlier rather than later is what won them the game. Now Catnip on the back foot, spying on Ballroom as Redress in 3, 2, 1, playing it. And that's a really good start. As I mentioned, Pofke's results tend to hinge less on the sniper, which is very consistently good, and more about the spy. So getting that early spy win is a very big deal for his chances. Catnip, AI control here. Looks like we want to be landed somewhere before we take control, and takes control right as the drink sip ends and we leave the empty conversation.
Always very, very interesting starting on AI control and actually not taking control. Is there still a hard time limit before you force control, or can you run AI for the whole game?
You can run it the whole game. Almost no one does, and almost no one even waits a few seconds anymore. Though a lot of people will, with a lot of collisions early on, for example, wait until they've settled down, not worry about any pathing, things like that. But other people, most players at this point, I would say, take control right away, because every now and then the AI has the awful habit of doing something suspicious, even as the AI, and people hate that.
Which is, of course, a little bit of a sort of counterintuitive thing, because by dint of the fact it's an AI, the AI can't do anything suspicious. That's the misnomer of our human brains.
I once played Virafo in a casual match, and he shot me under AI control because he said I was spy-like. So make of that what you will. We are doing a little bit of a read animation in the middle of nowhere before picking up that briefcase. We do beat Helen Mirren to it there. It's a difficult fingerprint. We do hit it, though, while we're moving, too. That's walking and chewing gum at the same time. Pretty impressive, AT-wise, at least. We do put it down. We're still holding the blue book, but we do have a difficult fingerprint now, and that might not have been tracked. Interesting.
I've never quite fully understood how to handle the briefcase. It's a very interesting part of the game. And so often I think it's gotten me shot because I don't know what to do. I know you're supposed to hand it off to the ambassador behind the ambassador, but you're supposed to stop if the ambassador starts moving, or sort of path. You can then either put it down or follow it up to them.
1 second here. We'll get back to the briefcase in just a moment, because we have to do a white timeout, and we are putting that blue book in the green shelf, so there's a bit of a moment of truth here. But if we are mission counting, there's no reason to shoot yet because we're nowhere near close. Yeah, look, the briefcase is alchemy. There are players who are experts in it. I got to know it fairly well, although I was never one of the experts, and now that I'm a little removed from the competitive scene, let me just tell you, that was some of the first knowledge to go, replaced by any other manner of things.
Banana bread coming off there, so we are halfway done, and half a fingerprint mission completed as well. I mean, getting that hardtail, the transfer done, does mean we can possibly finish up with Inspect and Seduce. So we're leaving a little bit late to start our Seduction if we've got a minute and 40 to go and we're not even started. Seduction target is static at the moment, Opportunity, and it looks like we're going to take it, not quite contacting the circle, which means even with the green, we're not going to get 51, and we don't quite get that hitting up to 33%. So it is going to be a three flirt to clear that mission. We have got a bit of time. We've got about a minute and a half. That time ad coming into its own at this point. Yeah, I think now is sort of we've not got the highlights, so a good play here would just be to keep moving, get back, finish off that flirt, and get some inspects done in the meanwhile. Here we go, right into the statues now, and yeah, it looks like we could be going somewhere. This is going to come down to the wire, I think.
Well, we're not going to center, which is an interesting choice given how much we still have to do to probably finish. The fingerprint helps a lot, but I don't think we're going to finish the Seduce. It's such an afterthought Seduce sometimes on Ballroom, but in this case, I don't think we can finish it in time. So it's going to be the Inspects instead. The Seduce is going to sit there a third done, and can Pofke shoot for this? That's the question. We got what looks like a Kreen microfilm and a fingerprint finish. Last chance to take the shot, 3 seconds, or is Catnip going to answer with a spy win of her own? She is. Lithuanian Spies 2-0.
Nicely done right there. Yeah, so I think getting that fingerprint was maybe a critical decision in Canada. I don't know if she knew the fingerprint was there. I mean, I'm really bad at tracking fingerprints, so if going to that statue and getting the fingerprint was just a happy bonus, if Catnip was indeed tracking it, then maybe that would explain why she went to the left rather than the center to finish the Inspect in one go. But if that was a happy accident, this is principle. That's what I can get sense. So Catnip confirming in chat she was indeed tracking that fingerprint right there, so it wasn't a happy bonus. So that's a solid play and a nice finish to that mission. 1-1.
Yeah, the difficult print obviously makes that possible. I mentioned at the time maybe not being tracked, and it sure seems like that was the case now, because if that's a normal, quote-unquote, boring standard fingerprint, much better chance that Pofke gets that shot off, but just not tracking books, I don't think, is really the part of it. And when you get spotted a hardtail that leaves no trace on Ballroom, a mission win is often the result. So it is all tied up, but Pofke showing that early spy strength, not showing the kind of sniper sharpness that I was just talking about, but it's hard to imagine that you're going to get too many by Pofke sniper. We'll find out soon enough. But first, on to Veranda, playing as Kane in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Breslow, that was just such a lovely moment to have a caption competition there, and now it's moved on, and I can't think of anything amusing.
Don't worry, I can't think of either, so it's all good.
Green time ad, yeah.
Green time ad at the beginning there, so 5 minutes to overcome 5 missions, 1 minute per mission. Doesn't look like it's been caught, but being a green test, obviously it's much more difficult to catch it. As the clock's about to beep, that might be a moment for... And there goes the wrong arm bug, but it doesn't come off, unfortunately, the Kane bug. And it does pick us up a highlight as a result. That is going to put us on the back foot from the beginning. A little bit of dancing as well. Real shame that bug doesn't come off, and we only have the highlight to show for it. Real shame.
Yeah, we did a 360 into the bug attempt, and that is some pretty suspicious stuff, but Veranda is busy, and things get missed in the sheer amount of movement. So Pofke, I think, rightly has ascertained that they're probably not a huge suspect, and look at that. Conspicuously walking right by the Ambassador without bugging. Catnip was zoomed in on it, so it was the right choice, and that'll lose you a little heat sometimes. Some of the spies, sometimes that shows a lot of trust in the sniper, right? I'm trusting that you will see this wasn't a bug, so you'll suspect me less rather than more for walking by them.
Good discipline from Pofke there as well, especially going past with the Kane arm. Yeah, obviously feeling the laser burn and thinking I must have picked up some heat. Curious, I mean, actually, because I missed it, was that highlight from the helicoptering or was it from the inspects?
Well, it happened around the same time, right? So that's always the question. It seemed to time to the inspects a little better if I had to guess, but those delayed highlights are always a thing, certainly, as I alluded to earlier when you asked me that question about strategy and timing. We do have our first flirt. Pofke, a little slow on the flirt 2 games in a row now, I think. Certainly Catnip had the same kind of issue and ended up not finishing it, and once again it's the same number, 33%.
Opportunity to contact, which we do indeed take at this point. Starting to chalk up the missions a little bit. Only 1 completed, but 1 more statue required, 2 more flirts, 1 more fingerprint. So sort of probably equivalent of 2.5 missions in total.
Yeah.
Not about half our time. Our time has now caught up. Spy and sniper timers have now synchronized again. Just a little under 3 minutes to finish off about half of what we've got to do. Probably going to require at least one more hardtail at this point. Question is what we're going to go for. Always a nice one to bug on this if the opportunity presents itself. Ambassador nowhere to be seen at the moment, as far as I can tell on this screen.
Pofke's probably going to try to bug if they can. They've had a lot of success on it in general. They're good at it. They understand the power of it, and it is Veranda after all. And you're right, trying to figure out how many missions they actually have with the partial progress. I don't know if you all remember how to reduce your fractions, but that's what we're into here. The nice thing about having the partial progress across Fingerprint, Seduce, and Inspect, too, is that so often 2 of those missions will end up in the same spot. There's a bug as the Ambassador walks around us, and we leave right afterwards, and there's the bug we were talking about. It was right out front, but it was so well done, and I think we're probably gotten away with it because Catnip is zooming in on a briefcase returned by the Ambassador right afterwards, which means still watching for the bug, which means probably, obviously not sure it's happened, and maybe not even suspecting it. And now I expect full steam ahead from Pofke.
Yeah, that wrong arm bug, that's a bit of a game changer at this point. 2 minutes ago, we're coming in to finish off the inspect. Are we going to get hubris get the better of us? We're going to get a fingerprint while we're there, following up exactly on what you said about 2 missions being in the same place. If we've got hubris on our sides, we might even go for a swap here, but we've got plenty of time to go off and finish the Seduce at this point, and possibly still even an opportunity to Purloin, though. Why would you take that if there's an opportunity to swap right there? Just 1 minute and 20 now. Get up to, in fact, we could finish right here at 67%. We're that close to the seduction target that a white seduction will do it, and there's the countdown. Coming in for the win. Has Catnip seen it? And if she has, can she shoot for it? I don't know if she can, and I think it's going to be another win for Pofke. 3rd spy win in a row, and that is 2-1 Pofke.
Yeah. That's a really good game from Pofke. He started a little slow, but as soon as he had the bug, he saw the end of the game. He saw it. He saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and he barreled towards it immediately, exactly as expected. And yeah, look, it's when you have 2 Softails that are partially completed, it takes a lot for things to line up perfectly to get the fingerprint or the flirt alongside the statue, for example, something like that, or the fingerprint and the seduce. But when you have partial progress across 3, the odds that 2 of them are going to line up like that are much, much higher, and that's what happens, and Pofke jumps all over it. Preparation meets opportunity, and that is another spy win, as you mentioned. 3 for 3. Pofke's gonna try to pull away here for the first time, winning a sniper game on Veranda, and that is one of the things he does very well. This is a tall order for Catnip as the spy, as it is for any spy on Veranda, or anyone facing Pofke for that matter, and Catnip has to do both, playing as Salmon in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
That's Salmon Danger. That's who I'm getting in this. So I was thinking, was that an old? But no, Salmon Danger is the Samuel L. Jackson as opposed to Cade, who's the Morgan Freeman lookalike.
Yes. Correct.
Interesting coming in here. I mean, you've already compared Spy Party tonight to both chess and to poker. I've always thought of it as slightly tennis similar.
Breaking serve, you're thinking on the sniper side, right?
Exactly that, because the assumption is generally that the sniper will win, and so that when you win as spy, it's effectively breaking serve, and so when you get that close as a spy, it's almost like a break point. And with 3 spy wins so far, it does seem to slightly be bucking the trend, certainly of the averages, which if they're anything like they were back in the day, does heavily favour the sniper on any given scenario that is considered standard meta.
Sorry to interrupt you both, but we had a white Purloin.
We did at the start of the game, and I wish I'd said something because Purloin is Catnip's favorite hardtail on Veranda, right around the same as Microfilm for that matter, but just a little less often completed on Veranda than Seduce. And I don't really see Pofke taking any lowlights. There's one possibly for pathing, maybe, or maybe just because she has a book and he figures she couldn't have purloined. Sometimes when you don't see a sniper react much, there's a contact, fake contact. Sometimes when you don't see a sniper react much to an early purloin, obviously it can be because they didn't see it, but it can also be because they're almost positive of who it was and they don't see any point in managing their lights much accordingly.
One of the interesting things, though, the most interesting things about Purloin is that if you don't see it at the time, you can still know it's been done. Whereas a bug, if you miss it completely, then you're still looking for it. At least with a Purloin, you can sort of mentally shut it out, even if you don't know when it was taken. So another really interesting dynamic to this game, and I remember when it was first introduced as a mission, it does sort of change things up a bit. And having both that and bug as options for hardtail missions in any given map can be really, really interesting.
Yes, I mean, it also evened out the 4 hardtails. 4 hardtails, 4 softtails, and of the 2 hardtails, 2 leave a trace and 2 do not. And that absolutely has a profound effect, because that's why Purloin and Swap are more likely to be part of frames. Someone can take either one for you, and they both show which is likely to induce a shot, whereas Bug and Microfilm do not. There's the real contact, so that's 2.
A lot of low lights coming out. Seeing at least 2, maybe 3.
More, yeah, certainly, and we have 7 total now as well, including the seduction target. So this party's basically cut in half, and at almost exactly the same point the number of required missions are. There's a Bug attempt on the way out, but it does not take. We're just a little too far away, I think, and it is seen. Pofke is all over it. I think had to suspect that Purloin. There's the first sniper win, and there's Pofke breaking that serve.
Punished for the Bug arm. I didn't see where the sniper was looking at the time, but the arm did come a long way out, and again, playing into my narrative of when a Bug doesn't take, it's more likely to have been seed, especially if it's a wrong arm Bug going the wrong way there. Catnip getting punished for that Bug attempt, and Pofke pushes into the lead 3-1 with the first sniper win of the match.
Yeah, and on to High Rise, or Pub as I like to call it for no particular reason. Pofke playing his green dress. It's Purloin off this time. This is kind of the old setup of the 3-6 or 3-7 we used to see, where Fingerprint would be left on instead of Purloin. That is becoming increasingly rare, but it is happening here. It'd be interesting to see if Pofke takes advantage of that. It is one of his least completed missions on Pub, so maybe he's just hoping for the AI to take advantage instead, or for him rather, in 3, 2, 1, playing it. If it's Pofke on High Rise, it's Seduce and Inspect like it is for most people, but favors Swap quite a bit more than Bug or Purloin. Purloin off, of course, here anyway, but watch out for a potential cheesy swap.
I mean, you're perfectly at liberty to call High Rise Pub. I just think it might get confusing when we're actually playing an actual pub. Like that down the line. Nice quiet start here. Maybe trying to false flirt pair with Kane right there. To what end, I'm not quite sure. All that can do is generate extra heat, but opportunity for a Bug there, which does come off because it's coming off with the wrong arm. Doesn't look like Catnip has seen it. Though we are pointing the laser at them rather fiercely at this point. First of the flirts coming in, it's a long way away, but we get a green test making it a 40% and getting some of the way towards doing that. It is going to be a 3 flirt, whichever way you spin it, but an early Bug and halfway or nearly halfway towards doing the flirt. That's a fairly strong start with 2.5 minutes left on the clock.
Oh, and a 3-mission setup, if you got away with the Bug, it's almost an automatic win, barring something really crazy. And it is a little out of character, as I alluded to earlier. Pofke swaps at almost twice the rate they Bug on High Rise, so this is a little out of character, but I think this is probably just opponent base. I think I've gotten away with some good Bugs. My Bugs are landing really well today, so I'm having a good day. I'm up against an opponent who hasn't caught them yet, so I'm just going to keep hammering this mission until it doesn't work for me. And it sure looks like it's about to work again.
Have the luxury of time to spare now, so we're going to go and meet up with Seek again at the bookcase, not even watching at this point in the sniper cam. They may have caught it now, getting a chance for another flirt there, which comes off at the 74%. Getting a bookcase, but getting a book from the bookcase. Seek running off with that, and we're probably going to finish up that flirt from the other side. We're going to stand next to the ambassador. Often a risky tactic. That's going to get burned quite a lot, but it's a bit academic. We've already got the Bug. Seek leaving before we can finish off that flirt. That is going to be slightly annoying, though we have got to return that book to bookcase. Doing it while Seek is still there is probably going to set alarm bells ringing. So if it were me, I'd wait for him to go and then try and catch him on opposite statues or something like that. Can you flirt across statues? Is that still a thing?
Well, not across those two, just the adjacent ones. There are some on gallery where you can do that, though. But no, in this case, I think you're right. We're not that pressed for time yet, and we only need one more. There's the white contact. That's going to get us to a second mission. Not too bad there. The SD. Oh, and there it is. There's just the civilian shot. That's Ponytail.
What a shame.
Well, she had brought in a briefcase earlier in the game, certainly. So that could, maybe leaving Fingerprint on had a little something to do with that. Just generally active too, but maybe leaving Fingerprint on made the difference in that game. On the other hand, does it matter? Because we were one white flirt away, or even a kind of distant green, and the Bug was probably not suspected. The party had not been especially narrowed down. I count 0 lowlights, as a matter of fact. So I think that was going to be a win one way or the other.
Moving on to the other side of it, Pofke now with pulling away a little bit, moving up to 4-1. Catnip's going to be playing as General in the second half of the High Rise frame, and we're going to be starting in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Very appropriate that you say frame. Catnip has played, in my data set, at least 17 high-rise games and has reached countdown in 1. So it is usually a frame game for her there.
The MO.
Yeah, and Purloin, one of the favored missions, but again, turned off here. And that is immediate swap from Catnip. Forget framing, it's not happening this time. Did Pofke memorize in time is the big question. We do get a highlight, but we also went to statues, so that might not tell us very much. Unfortunately, this is kind of the worst thing for us as casters, because if Pofke noticed that swap, he's going to have a very good mission count. He's going to shoot, later in the game. We're not going to be positive about whether or not it was the swap. So until the very end, we're probably not going to have a good idea of whether or not he memorized statues in time and is suspected this.
I mean, I think this is one of the foibles of this game, or not foibles, it's wrong. One of the quirks of this game is sort of playing the RNG advantage in terms of where you start, because General obviously starting right on the statues there. And that's an opportunity you can take if you know your sniper's off busy low lighting the cast members or tracking early bugs. You can sneak in a swap right there before they've even had time to whip round and see what was there, just by dint of the fact that's where RNG put you. And at this point, with a swap done, a fingerprint done, and 2 inspects, we are well on the way. Obviously, we've got that highlight, possibly just for inspect, maybe. The swap was seen or noted. We finish off the fingerprints, so just as I feel like at this point that a visit to statues would get a shot. So with 2 minutes still left on the clock, Catnip's maybe best play here is to go for a contact, or possibly even starting up with the flirt. If they're going to start flirt, they're going to need to start doing it sooner rather than later, though, because that clock is ticking.
Yeah, it's actually pretty significant that there's no shots here for the potential fingerprint, but they might be waiting for the contact, and they might be very confident that because of all that early activity away from conversations, flirt could not possibly be done. But this does kind of lend credence to the idea that the swap was not noticed and that Pofke is not that suspicious, but contact is still the big test.
I mean, I always found it very interesting, obviously, doing the mission count, but if you're sure that something has gone off, like, for example, if Pofke was sure about the statues beforehand, if it was me, I would have shot. But maybe again demonstrating why I'm not a good spy party player. General coming in to finish off these inspects right here. No shot coming off just yet. It's not a finger. We finished fingerprints anyway at this point. The laser does feel like it's sort of hovering. I can't make out where it is in our general vicinity. The countdown is on. No, the laser is not on us. 3 seconds, and I think Catnip's going to pull one back right here. She does indeed.
Wow.
With a 3-mission win. Very, very nicely done. Just picking up that highlight we have to assume was just for the statue visit rather than for noting the swap. And Catnip managing to pull one back in this frame, making it 4-2 and another spy win.
Another spy win. And this one, you understand what the story of the game is. The story of the game is not expecting the early swap, doesn't rotate all the way, maybe kind of takes it for granted because it doesn't happen very often. Catnip gets the spawn, goes for it, and that's what happens. So even with Purloin off, we still get that hardtail in. It still isn't bug, but it doesn't matter. And, Pofke, the spy looks better than the sniper. Very unusual for Pofke on both fronts, but the spies look good enough that it hasn't hurt them too much yet. However, given how their spy is played, they'd probably want more than a 4-2 lead at this point, and are going to be looking to pull away, hopefully, very soon. Otherwise, if Catnip keeps hanging around, anything could happen, and we could be looking at an upset. First, though, it's going to be Aquarium, and this favors upsets in general. It can be very swingy. Pofke as the spy, playing his ponytail in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Opportunity at the bar early on, but we're not going to try and do anything. We're just going to go and dream of leaving the party. Obviously, the introvert here has ponytails and goes straight to the exit. No, I can't leave because there's a rope barrier and our physics spent allow us to jump over. But we are going to get highlight for going to the bar. Presumably, we're just sort of tracking the potential delegations here. And are we going to take the drink? Let's have a look. Bartender's off the drink, and we are. I didn't see delegating Purloin. Yes, we are indeed going to delegate that,
and immediately delegating it. Look at that. We don't even wait. We're trying to get the whole thing done in one go.
I mean, we have got that highlight. I can only assume that highlight is delegation tracking, which means at this point, when what's the nickname? Because she used to be called Mum if memory serves. But
well, some people call her that, but that violates the rule I laid out earlier, which is identifiable to a new person. So I always say teal to reference that pantsuit. By the way, the immediate delegate almost definitely down to the fact that 4 people were at bar already. So even if we delegate them immediately, they're going to have to wait in line. And I think it might actually take, because we were so close and we did it so fast. And that has a big part.
Action happening right here. But if we are tracking and we're keeping track of where people were, and we see that the list is gone, then we are down to just 2 people, and teal gets a low light at this point, meaning that because the list has come off, that would be from the contact. So that's maybe shooting oneself in one's foot there for Pofke there. When your delegate target is at the bar, when your contact goes off, that can only leave a delegation. And if we're remembering those 4 who were there, and here comes some lowlights, or certainly some lowering from highlight status, and our highlight is remaining just a couple or 3, small man and.
Well, we're still highlighting at bar. So here's the question: are these people we thought were at bar earlier, or are we just now noticing that the list is gone because we highlight 2 more people post Purloin?
Meanwhile, Pofke not wasting any time in terms of getting a contact and the seduce completed. We have got
a blue behind the shark, and we're in mission win countdown.
And there we go, mission win behind the shark. And is he going to get a shot? He's going to get a shot. Catnip finds the shot, obviously suspecting missions were done. That delegation obviously being tracked there better than we thought. And enough suspicion for the bug behind the shark to warrant that shot with just 2 or 3 seconds left to go. And Catnip encroaching back on Pofke's lead. It is a sniper win. Is that Catnip's first sniper win? I think it probably is.
I think it is, and it comes on Aquarium of all places.
And it's now 4-3 Pofke, with Pofke yet to snipe. But as you've already pointed out, Pofke more or less in their wheelhouse when it comes to sniping rather than spying. Let's see if we're not loaded up yet, but just a good shot there from Catnip, managing to pull one back. But proof of the pudding of where this match lies will come to this next match, with Catnip playing as Queen, the actual Queen, not Helen Mirren as the Queen. And we're going to be playing a handbag, or dog, I suppose would also work. Catnip as the spy in 3, 2, 1, playing.
I think Queen is universal enough and recognizable enough at this point that it works. And I was going to say, I was going to suggest that you introduce your own monarch, so I'm glad you took the opportunity.
Early bug attempt doesn't quite come off there. Trying to get it in the confusion behind the shark, but yes, it's not to be, but opportunity taken. It's not been spotted by Pofke, so Catnip might as well take that opportunity and head over to the bookcases. No suspicion aroused just yet. Going to want to try and think about getting something done. Our seduction target is over at the bar, and that's exactly where it looks like Catnip is going to be going, but our seduction target bails on the bar, so we can't make anything good from that. The fact that the Queen has to wait in line is a source of deeply distressing to me. Opportunity behind the shark now, perhaps to Purloin here with a hard Purloin. We are going to go for the delegate though and leave it there, send it on to somebody else. We're going to take a little sit at the bar and just let the game go behind us. We are a minute in though at this point with nothing to show for it, so going to have to start hurrying up some action along here. Look like we're heading towards the seduction target, close to. Hopefully we get a green test here. That will get us well on our way.
Yeah, obviously we're still writing the narrative of this match, but if you ask me for one here in the middle, it would be bugs on both sides. Pofke hitting a lot of great bugs, Catnip missing a couple already, and bug is such a powerful mission. So many people believe it's the spy's best mission, and they have a pretty good argument for it, and very many matches turn on it. That was a long time before that delegate, and it's to a slow character, and there is someone at bar in front of us, so I think this might time out, but we're going to see here in just a moment.
We do get the first of seductions underway, 34% though, with another 30 seconds ticking down. I think we may be out of luck when it comes to it takes.
Just barely, I think. That was probably pretty close there. She took the far side too. The fact there was only one person at bar and they got out of the way by the time we got there certainly helped, but if there had been one more person at bar, I don't think that would have taken. So it does, and look at this though, the party roughly more than cut in half now by Pofke, who was monitoring that bar.
The seduction target, the double agent being contacted there, going to give us a couple more lowlights as well. Getting quite interested in general over here, though not sure he was in conversation when that banana bread came off, and Pofke coming to the same conclusion here as well. A few more coming down at this point, and we are down to just 3 characters, all of whom are highlighted, one of whom is Catnip. We are 2.5 of the way there, and 1 hard tell under our belt, but a minute and a half to go. Major heat on us down to just 3 characters. It's difficult to see how Catnip can capitalize on this with so much pressure and at least another seduction perhaps about to come off right here. Seduction is completed, but we've got one more mission to go. 2 statue visits, possibly a swap, a microfilm, a bug behind a shark might do it for us, but with that much heat, I don't even know if that's going to be enough to get away with this here.
No, this is really rough. Managing the party down to about half the size post-Purloin wasn't too bad, but the contact knocking out several of those potential Purloiners was a really big deal. Because now there's just so few people who can finish, and we're going to swap immediately. We're going to try to do behind the shark. We're going to be visible just a moment.
We're just making the assumption that it's Queen, and it does indeed take the shot and gets out of dodge just in time. And that's a good calculation there from Pofke going up, assuming Catnip has at that point got to go for the swap behind cover. Catnip hoping that the shark is going to provide enough cover, and unfortunately it does not. Pofke does take that sniper victory, moving up to 5 and 3 at that point. Catnip can capitalize. That was entirely an accident, Catnip, I have to say, though. My accidental alliteration. Oh, I did another one.
Oh dear.
Notwithstanding. Catnip just taking a bullet there with about 4 seconds left on the clock. Very bad luck. Pofke into the lead, 5-3 as we come into Courtyard. Still enough time, not enough of a gap here. I mean, there's not been more than 2 between them at any point, and Catnip did manage to pull back a sniper victory at the front end of Aquarium. Can they do the same and possibly even go for the double here in Courtyard? They are playing as Alice Ponytail. No, they're not. They're playing as Sari. Looking at the wrong screen.
Indeed.
And it's Pofke indeed, not Catnip. It's Pofke playing as Sari in the Courtyard in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
There we go. Yeah, Pofke has not quite been able to pull away. They've been very close to pulling away, but Catnip doing just enough to stay close. There's an early time ad, I believe. And we're joining. No seduction target here. The seduction target's at windows right next to us instead, teasing us a little bit, and comes right next to us. There we go. Patience. Let them come. It's hard to get.
Love to see that with the seduction target. That's going to give more heat to Smallman, who's already got heat by dint of his stature. Pofke capitalizing on that. Just a white test though, 34%, so it is going to be 3 flirt. That's a good turn of fortune for Pofke in terms of flirt pairing and managing to avoid some heat and maybe put a little bit onto Smallman here.
Yeah, Pofke, pretty good mission win countdown percentage on Courtyard, about half the time competitively. Favors Purloin, Swap, and Bug in close to equal measure, or at least close enough that you can't bank on any of them. So Pofke, very flexible as a spy on Courtyard. That means Catnip's going to have to watch a little bit of everything.
Waiting for the waiter. We're not going to do anything with that at this moment in time. The seduction card coming back for seconds. Goodness gracious me, I think there's a mutual attraction here, and Pofke capitalizing on that as well, up to 68%. Without having moved, we are very nearly done with flirt. We are going to go for a little wander around the party at this point. Hidden from the sniper view at the moment. Double agent contact coming up right here by the looks of it. If our double agent is going to stay there, which it looks like they might be. Going to wait for
1 or 2 more people to get into conversation, I would think. And yet, as soon as someone joins, that's when it comes off, and it's a pretty good one. Let me see, 1, 2 low lights. And if that's all you get, that's going to be that's going to be good for Pofke.
Double agent bailing on the conversation immediately as soon as it comes off as well, which might add a little bit of confusion into the mix. Maybe add a little bit more heat to the suspected double agent on the other side of the map. Though most everyone over there looks to have been low lighted, though the Disney character is highlighted and generally still neutral at this point, as is Pofke, though, it has to be said. 1.5 done, just approaching the 2-minute mark at this point. One more seduction, I think that should be fairly innocuous to do by dint of the fact that Smallman has been doing most of the chasing in this particular scenario.
Yeah, he's holding a drink, and boy, does he seem thirsty.
He's off to the briefcase. I'm watching Smallman more than I'm watching Sari, mainly because Sari is just being so innocuous and just sort of chilling out mainly, looking for a second contact maybe. No, we're going to move around, and opportunity for a bug right here, opportunity for a bug, which we do not take. Maybe the sniper was more on that than I gave it credit for right there. Yeah, we finished off the seduction, but we are now getting into a bit of a lull. We've got 2 soft tails done, so we are going to need a hard tail at some point in the next minute or so. Where are we going? Waiting for a good opportunity for a bug. At some point, we're probably going to have to visit statues unless we can do a statue mission.
We might not have to. Look at this. 6 highlights, and Catnip has shot in, again, 32 of 36 courtyard games that I have measured, so does not usually hold on courtyard. That's a pretty high shot rate, and look at the number of suspects here. The odds that one of them is not going to do something a little suspicious, we already know Smallman's done a couple things. He also picked up a briefcase, don't forget, so it might not take much to get a civ shot. Pofke might be saying, I want to give as much time as possible for that to happen.
And one always has to assume that Smallman has already bugged.
Comes pre-checked.
But we are now approaching 30 seconds. Here come the beeps, so to speak. Opportunity for Purloin right here, which
Bug
we are
dumped.
going to take.
Bug.
Oh, no.
We got the bug instead, and we're going right into inspects afterwards, and it's another bug from Pofke.
We missed the pad, but we get away with it, and Dr. T takes the bullet. Goodness me. You were right, Cat. You're not holding back on the shots right there. The bug does come off, even missing the pad going into that statue from Pofke. The heat was elsewhere at that point. Pofke managing to do little enough during that frame to avoid getting major heat on them. Do we think that Pofke would have gone on to finish missions at that point? I think
so, because it's just inspects at that point. But I mean, it might get shot for timing. You can see, by the way, the person who shot there, the twin, walks by the ambassador right afterwards, has the inspects, and 6 people had inspects, and that's kind of the problem, right? You're doing the standard statue highlights there. You haven't whittled the party down very much, so there's a lot to watch late, and as I mentioned before, Catnip likes to take those timing shots. Does it look like one of my suspects is finishing? And if that means in games like this, where a reasonable number of people go to statues, or where you don't get those low lights, because remember, 2 low lights from the contact, that leaves you with a lot of suspicious movement late in the game, and it does lead to a higher than average number of civ shots. And I think Pofke, like you said, 30 seconds, that's when they decided, I guess I have to do something, and that is almost exactly the point at which they had to, but they want to give that party time to, move around, mingle, and eventually lead to murder. Now it's going to be Catnip.
Just before I need to correct the record and issue a public apology. Guguez, Dr. M, incorrectly on the 30th of July at 1831 BST, I asserted that it was Dr. T. I would like to formally apologize for that and correct the record. It was Dr. M that got shot in that previous mission. So let the record reflect that I was wrong, and please accept my humble apology for making that mistake.
For possibly merging a spy party character with Mr. T, I would think.
Indeed, possibly might want to be doctorate. Pofke is up to 6 and 3, so again, guaranteed. Oh, was it Dr. M? You're now telling me I actually got the wrong doctor. That's my bad. Pofke now up to 6 and 3 going into the sniper side as Catnip picks up boots or buns if you prefer. Pofke now guaranteed a point out of this match. Catnip can still gain a point with 3 consecutive victories. Let's see if she can manage it. Playing as buns in 3, 2, 1. Playing it.
Just go with Dr. No.
Dr. No.
Just not going to skip it entirely. Here's Catnip staying under AI control again, just a little bit. Not as long this time, though. Does take control when they realize that things are kind of materializing a little bit. We do a bug attempt, walking away, and oh boy, Pofke's camera makes me think they at least suspect it, but it's hard to say. This time, though, it does take.
So we are at least 1 down, but could be academic. Is Catnip going to go on a rush here to try? And here come all the lowlights. That banana bread is giving away a lot of information, and
yes.
Or little information certainly. And we're 2 in within 30 seconds, 40 seconds. But we have to assume we've got a lot of heat. We still don't have a highlight, but a bug and a contact in with 2.5 minutes to go. Catnip knows that she needs to win this in order to recover, to at least get a point out of the back end of this match. We're still not highlighted, though.
Yeah, still not highlighted, but, again, you don't do for general suspicion very often, and you certainly, most players even who like to do that, will not do it on Courtyard, because statue tracking is so clearly the OP strategy on Courtyard, so you see a lot of players kind of switch up their lighting strategies there if they don't already highlight for statues, as so many don't now. Catnip with that green test on the floor could help a lot, because we have 2 whole minutes left and just a mission and a half left to do, and the quote-unquote hard one is done, but if the bug is suspected, then suddenly Inspect is one of the hard ones.
So, I mean, what's Catnip's other options here? Obviously, finishing off the seduce fingerprints and maybe going to get caught. I mean, there's 2 missions that require going to statues. I mean, maybe going in for for a swap at the end if possible. We are going to statues at this moment, though. Going to take the opportunity to maybe get some low lights. There comes the highlight to maybe get some inspects done. There comes the highlight, which makes me think if we're getting highlighted at this point for going to statues, maybe that bug wasn't as noticeable as we thought. All we're requiring at this point is a flirt, and we have to think if Pofke's on top of the flirts, then one more talking next to Seek could be danger. Zoom coming in, but nothing more than that.
We're not going to try to 2-flirt.
We're going to go for the long game and play for the 3 flirt. We do get that flirt there coming up to 81%, but we've got one more to do.
I'm already a little worried because I mentioned earlier that the lowest possible flirt that takes is 17%, and we need 19%, so we cannot be particularly far away necessarily from our seduction target. We need to be kind of in there. We're going to bounce off this conversation, kind of miss the pad and rotate in place. That is pretty rough if Pofke sees it, but it's not clear that they did.
We're back next to Seek. All it takes is one more. There it is. It comes off. The countdown is on. Is Pofke aware of it? We don't see any shots coming in. 3 seconds. Can Catnip hold this one out? She does indeed, and pulls one back, and we're back to 6-4. We are going to the pub. Catnip pulling off a victory there with the bug contact, inspect, and seduce in the courtyard. Another spy win. We are seeing a lot of spy wins across the gamut of this match tonight. And it is going to come down to this. Can Catnip pull off the double in the pub and salvage a point out of this match? Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is, and that's a pretty tall order still. But then again, here we are. Pofke had a few chances to close it out, and has not been able to quite yet. And in that case, that last game, it's pretty obvious what happened. Just did not suspect the bug, was not willing to credit it, and that was the difference. That is the potential downside I mentioned when you asked about mission counting earlier. You're counting missions, and you're sitting there at 3, and the number's actually 4. If the mission count is off, the whole game can fall apart. Pofke, though, going to try to close things out right away with Smallman on pub. It's 3 of 7. All the missions are on in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I think this is the first time we've seen Smallman actually be played this evening.
Yeah, a little bit in the first match, but I don't think we've seen it in this match yet.
Not seen it. I've obviously forgotten that. Kane
trying to Swabble, I think it was. Yeah.
Kane trying to get himself highlighted and flirt paired with us at this point with Pofke. Check on watch. A couple of highlights coming off. Obviously, bar tracking here. Seduction target getting a highlight. That could work in our favour if we're able to play it cleverly. If we go for the delegate and immediately send Red back to the rocker back to the bar. I mean, what's the drill if you send someone to the bar and they've got a full drink? Do they gulp or do they just...
They gulp, yeah. They do gulp. And by the way, the time is significant because look at the clock. It's already under 3 minutes. This is one of the variants, one of the ways to try to make pub competitively viable, which some would argue it has historically not been. The time is way down and the guests are up to compensate for that 3 of 7. Just so that you don't have quite as many AIs rotely finishing statues because either statue completes inspects automatically. So you got too many guessing games of would they or wouldn't they, where you're flirt tracking or nothing, and too many 50-50s, too many coin flips. So this new version of pub with the lower time incentivizes spies like Pofke right there to do a timeout at the start, try to get more AIs finishing, and press Catnip into a more difficult shot, which we saw on Courtyard, right? If you amass too many highlights and there's activity late in the game, you're going to usually get a civ shot there.
3 of 7, though, that's a very new meta to me. I mean, that's surely massively favouring the split. I mean, even high rise when it's going for 3, it's 3 of 5, isn't it? But you say we've lowered the timer and up the guest count, so...
Yep, we've been tweaking it. A little up here, a little down there, and it's... I don't know if you'd say it's the most competitive map of all the options, but it's better than it seems to be the idea, especially when you've incentivized people so much to go for time ads. There's about 90 seconds left here, and Pofke hasn't completed any missions, but Flirt is most of the way done, and some of your other options can happen very, very quickly.
Bug into statues is going to generate all of the heat, but say even a statue visit on his own, if you've not been paying attention, I mean that's 2 missions done on a single visit. Yeah. We're probably looking to. We are going to go.
We miss it
bug right there, and
we've got a bug through our seduction target.
And we are then going to hopefully try and finish off this flirtation right here, which we do. We are 2 down, and that is a. Hang on, did the bug take? No, the bug didn't take.
No, it did not.
So we are 1 down, not 2 down. I beg your pardon. So still looking for 2 in the final minute of this. Pofke, opportunity for a double agent, which we're going to take right away. It's a white test. So we're going to get shot for it. Great deduction there from Catnip. Not quite enough elsewhere going on to dissuade us that contact was anything other than something highly suspicious. Maybe Catnip caught part of that bug going into that conversation circle as well.
Be. It's also, you're literally Smallman. You're out front. As you can tell, the party not doing a whole lot in this case. Pub a little kinder than normal, and you're glowing, and your back is to the sniper right out front. And based on the timing shots I mentioned earlier, that's just the kind of shot that's usually going to happen. Pofke probably wishing the party had afforded them a little bit more, but sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And this is what happens when you don't close the game out before pub, is you're at the mercy of little things like that. And when I say little things, I mean the AI, not the spy. It's going to be Catnip now, trying to pull out that tie, playing his green dress on pub in 3, 2, 1, playing it. This is a tall order, though. This is going to be a very tough spy win for Catnip.
But it's a lot at stake here, though, because obviously if Catnip can pull this one off, coming from behind, I think 6-3 down at 1 point, 2 consecutive wins for right here. There's a bug behind the bar, and it is spotted immediately. Pofke taking the shot, Catnip going for that risky strategy early on. Could have had a high reward there, but unfortunately Pofke is all over that arm right there, and Green Dress takes the bullet, and Pofke closes out the set, winning it 7-5, taking 2 points forward in this group stage. Catnip, unfortunately, not going to get any points, but putting up a fight right until the very end, putting those 2 frames back to go from 6-3 to 6-5, and trying the risky bug at the beginning of pub there. Just unfortunately, Pofke on top of it, and it is going to be Pofke's day.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier in the match that the narrative was bugs, and at the time, that narrative was Pofke's hitting great bugs and getting away with it, and Catnip's bugs aren't taking. Instead, the narrative is a little different, which is that was the case, and then Catnip hits a bug that works, keeps her in the match a little bit longer, then presses her luck and tries to do one more, and this time Pofke was all over it, betting the whole game, the whole match, on that bug on pub, and Pofke's sniper does win the day in the end, although it was shakier than normal and gave Catnip some openings that almost cost him a point here in Group H. Anything else to say? First of all, before I forget, before I close things out, I do want to thank Wrestler. Wrestler, thank you so much for managing the board for us tonight.
Yeah, no mind. We had a couple of mistakes, but those didn't happen. It's fine.
Nope, nothing happened. I don't know what you're talking about. And Royal Flush, it's been an absolute pleasure. And in particular, I want to thank you for creating this event, even though you don't technically run it anymore.
Well, I'm just very grateful for the invite, and I'm glad that there's sort of a lot of goodwill from Opie. And Opie did reach out to me, I think last year, if I wanted to come and cast, and I think there was a combination of factors where I think I'd sort of declined the opportunity. They reached out again this year, and I said I would love to. And apologies to for anyone, because I think it was announced that we were going to be on last week, and then the world. I think I had a 2-day. We had some friends around on Friday night. Let's just say that. And come Saturday afternoon, there were a few things going on, and I didn't quite feel up to it. But I'm glad that I've come back and done it. And actually, I'm feeling I don't know if I could just pick up the game and play again. It's a little bit like, but watching it and sort of seeing how it plays, it's a little bit like riding a bike. And it's lovely to come back actually and commentate on some names that I recognise from the olden days. And I felt very comfortable having you here, effectively holding my hand track, because I know you're a vet of countless tournaments, and you're a proper professional caster when it comes to this.
Thank you. You're very kind. So I had a lovely time.
I had a lovely time.
You did a great job. When you said it's like riding a bike, I was going to say it's harder than that. For me, it's more like building a bike. Yeah, I have a rough idea of how it goes together, but getting back in the swing of things is pretty tough. But I hope you do. The community's better with you in it, and certainly better with this event. So I'm so glad you created it. I'm so glad Opie keeps it going as well, and I'm so glad that all you viewers watch it and all these competitors compete in it. I guess I should wrap things up and say that's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for joining us on this lovely summer afternoon. I'd say thank you for watching rather than being outdoors, but come on. We're all gamers here. You were going to be indoors anyway. Thank you all the same, though. Thank you to our host, Wrestler, and to Royal Flush for commentating and creating. Have a great day, everyone.
Very well.